She woke up to a gun in her face. Not pointed at her head. Pressed against her forehead. Cold metal kissing skin. The kind of cold that turns blood to ice before your brain catches up. Zahara King's eyes snapped open. A man stood over her. Burgundy suit. Scar cutting through his cheekbone like someone had tried to erase half his face, and gave up halfway. Fox eyes that didn't blink. "You have 3 seconds, he said, voice flat as death. "To tell me why you're in my chair." Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. 3. Where was she? Penthouse. Windows. Seoul skyline spinning 70 floors below. 2. The chair. Oh God. The leather chair she collapsed into after her legs gave out from 14 hours of scrubbing blood out of grout in the basement levels. 1. I'm the cleaner. The words ripped out of her throat. I'm the night cleaner. I got dizzy. I didn't know. The gun didn't move. But his finger slid off the trigger. Silence. 5 seconds of it. Then 10. He lowered the weapon. Slowly. Like he was still deciding. Stand up. Zahara stood so fast her vision whited out. She swayed. Caught herself on nothing but adrenaline, and the absolute certainty that sitting back down meant dying. He didn't holster the gun. He set it on the table beside him. Deliberately. Where she could see it. You've been asleep, he said, checking his watch, for 43 minutes. Her stomach dropped. I didn't mean to. In my chair. I know. My chair. The way he said it made her skin crawl. Not angry. Worse. Obsessive. He circled her. Not close enough to touch. Close enough to make her feel like prey. Do you know who I am? She shook her head. Lie. Everyone who worked nights in this building knew. Choi Min-jun. The one name you didn't say out loud. The one office you didn't clean unless you wanted hazard pay and a NDA. He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Then you don't know what happens to people who touch my things. Her throat closed. I should kill you, he continued, almost thoughtfully. It would be easy. No cameras on this floor. No witnesses. Your body would be in the Han River by sunrise. She believed him. Every word. But I'm not going to. Her brain stalled. What? He tilted his head, studying her like she was a stain that wouldn't come out. You're going to leave now. You're going to come back tomorrow night. Same time. A pause. If you choose to. Choose. The word tasted like a trap. And if I don't? His smile widened. Then don't. He turned away, walked to the chair, ran gloved fingers over the leather where she'd been sitting, adjusting, realigning, erasing her. Go. Zahara ran. She made it 3 blocks before she threw up in an alley. Her phone buzzed while she was still on her knees. St. Mary's Hospital. Your mother's treatment has been approved. Full coverage. Effective immediately. Her hands shook so hard she almost dropped the phone. Then another notification. Her landlord. Eviction notice rescinded. Rent paid through next year. Then her bank app. Deposit. 15 million Korean wons. No sender. She stared at the screen. Then at the skyline. 70 floors up. A single light burned in a penthouse window. The next night, she stood outside the building for 20 minutes. She could run. Take the money. Disappear. But her mama's chemo started in 3 days. And the deposit in her account? That was exactly enough to cover 6 months of treatment. Not 5 months. Not 7. 6. He'd done the math. She took the elevator up. The doors opened at 2:47 a.m. Choi Min-jun was already waiting. Same burgundy suit. Same scar. Same gun on the table behind him. You came back, he said. You knew I would. No. He stepped closer. I gave you a choice. You paid off my debts. I removed obstacles. You bought me. His expression didn't change. If I'd bought you, you wouldn't be standing here arguing. She wanted to hit him. She wanted to scream. She wanted to ask what kind of monster saved someone's mother just to trap her daughter. Instead, she said, "What do you want?" He gestured to the penthouse behind him. Clean. That's it. That's it. She didn't believe him. But she walked inside anyway. He didn't follow her. He sat down in the chair, his chair, and watched her work. Didn't speak. Didn't move. Just watched. An hour passed. Then 2. At 4:47 a.m. he finally spoke. Stop. She turned. He was staring at his hands. Black leather gloves clenched into fists. You can go now. I'm not finished. You are. Something in his voice made her stomach twist. She grabbed her supplies. Headed for the door. Tomorrow, he called after her. Same time. Not a question. A command disguised as a choice. She left without answering. But they both knew she'd be back. Because the second deposit hit her account before she even reached the ground floor. Zahara didn't sleep that day. She tried. Laid in her bed staring at the ceiling of her shoebox apartment. The one she didn't have to leave anymore, and counted the cracks in the plaster. 17. Same as yesterday. Same as the day before. Different now because the eviction notice was gone. Different because her bank account had numbers she'd only seen in other people's lives. Different because a man with a gun and a scar had made her mother's death sentence disappear with a phone call. Her phone buzzed. Mama's name lit up the screen. She almost didn't answer. Baby. Her mother's voice sounded stronger. That was new. That was the money working. The hospital called. They said my treatment's covered now. Said it was approved. How did you? I got a raise, Mama. The lie slid out smooth. Too smooth. Silence on the other end. Zahara Lin King. Don't you lie to your mama. I'm not. What did you do? The question hit like a fist. I sat in a monster's chair and now he owns me. I got a better position, Zahara said instead. Night manager. Better pay. That's all. Another silence. Longer this time. You be careful, baby. Ain't nothing in this world free. I know, Mama. I mean it. You hear me. I hear you. She hung up before her mother could ask more questions she couldn't answer. At 2:47 a.m., she was already in the elevator. The doors opened to the penthouse. Choi Min-jun stood facing the windows. Same burgundy suit. Hands clasped behind his back. The phoenix tattoo she couldn't see, but knew was there seemed to burn through the fabric. He didn't turn around. You're early, he said. She checked her watch. 2:46 a.m. 1 minute isn't early. 60 seconds is a lifetime in the wrong context. He turned then. Fox eyes catching the city lights. The scar on his cheekbone looked deeper in the shadows. Angrier. Why did you come back? The question wasn't rhetorical. He actually wanted an answer. You know why, Zahara said. Say it. Because you paid my mother's hospital bills. I removed a financial burden. That's not the same as control. She laughed. Sharp. Bitter. You think there's a difference? There is. He walked toward her. Stopped exactly 6 feet away. Not 5. Not 7. I gave you resources. You chose to return. You gave me a gun to my head and called it a gift. His expression didn't change. If I wanted control, you'd already be, he stopped. Jaw clenching. You wouldn't have a choice at all. The way he said it made her blood run cold. Because she believed him. Come here, he said. She didn't move. That wasn't a request. She still didn't move. Something flickered across his face. Not anger. Surprise. You're not afraid of me, he said slowly. I'm terrified of you. Then why aren't you running? Because, Zahara said, voice steady even though her hands shook. My mama needs her treatment more than I need to feel safe. The silence that followed felt like a third person in the room. Min-jun took off his gloves. Slowly. One finger at a time. She'd never seen him without them. His hands were scarred. Not cuts. Burns. Old ones. The kind that happened when someone held fire to skin and didn't let go. He held up his right hand. Palm facing her. Touch it. Her stomach dropped. What? Put your hand against mine. Why? Because I need to know something. Know what? If you're real. The words came out wrong. Desperate. Like he didn't mean to say them out loud. Zahara stared at his outstretched hand. This was a test. Had to be. She took one step forward. Then another. Then she pressed her palm against his. His breath caught. Not in pain. In relief. His fingers curled slightly, not gripping, just touching, and his eyes closed. 5 seconds passed. Then 10. His breathing slowed, evened out. The tension in his jaw released. When he opened his eyes again, they looked different. Clearer. You can let go now, he whispered. She yanked her hand back like she'd touched a stove. He didn't react. Just stared at his palm like it had betrayed him. What was that? Zahara demanded. A mistake. Bullshit. His eyes snapped to hers. Careful. You don't get to do whatever that was, and then shut down. What just happened? He put his gloves back on. Slowly. Methodically. You're here to clean, he said, voice flat again. Professional. So clean. Answer my question first. No. Then I'm leaving. She turned toward the elevator. Wait. She stopped. Didn't turn around. The reason you're here, he said quietly, isn't because I need a cleaner. Her spine went rigid. Then why? Silence. She turned. He was staring at the chair. His chair. Because when you sat there, he said, each word pulled from somewhere deep. Something stopped. What stopped? The noise. He tapped his temple once. Sharp. Precise. It never stops. Not since I was 7. Not since the fire. Not since. He cut himself off. But when you were in that chair, sleeping, breaking every rule I have, it went quiet. Her throat tightened. For 43 minutes, he continued. I didn't count. Didn't check. Didn't fix. I just existed. That's not my problem, Zahara said. His smile was razor thin. No. It's mine. And now you're part of it. He walked to a drawer, pulled out an envelope, set it on the marble table. Inside is a contract. Read it. Sign it if you want. Burn it if you don't. What kind of contract? Employment. Official. Legal. Triple your current salary. Full benefits. Your mother's treatment covered indefinitely. It sounded too good. It was too good. What's the catch? She asked. You work here. Every night. 2:47 a.m. to whenever I dismiss you. Doing what? Existing. The word landed like a stone in water. That's it? Just be here. That's it. She stared at the envelope. And if I say no? Then you leave. The money I already gave you is yours. No strings. Your mother's treatment continues for 6 months. After that, you're on your own. Why 6 months? His smile returned. Colder this time. Because that's how long I'm giving myself to figure out if I'm losing my mind or if you're the only thing keeping me sane. He walked past her toward his chair, sat down, pulled out a small canvas and paintbrush from the side table drawer, started painting, didn't look at her again. You have until sunrise, he said, brush moving in precise strokes. Decide. Zahara picked up the envelope. Her hands were shaking, because the worst part wasn't the offer. It was that she was actually considering it. Zahara opened the envelope at 4:23 a.m. Her hands didn't stop shaking. The contract was 12 pages long. Legal terms she'd need a lawyer to decode. But 3 numbers stood out clear as daylight. 45 million Korean won's annual salary. 200 million Korean won's medical coverage cap. 0 termination clause on her end. She could quit anytime. He couldn't fire her unless she violated. She flipped to page 7, willful destruction of property or direct threat to employer's safety. Everything else was his problem, not hers. She looked up. Min-jun was still painting. Back to her. Burgundy suit jacket discarded on the chair arm. White dress shirt pulled tight across his shoulders. The phoenix tattoo visible through the thin fabric. Rising. Burning. He hadn't looked at her once in 40 minutes. This contract, she said. His brush didn't stop moving. What about it? It's too clean. No loopholes on your end. I don't need loopholes. Every contract has them. Not mine. She walked closer. Close enough to see what he was painting. Her breath caught. It was her. Not a photograph. Not realistic. Abstract. All sharp angles and dark colors. But unmistakably her sitting in his chair. Head tilted back. Throat exposed. vulnerable. When did you? Memory, he said simply. I don't forget things. The painting looked angry, violent, beautiful, wrong. You paint everyone you meet? She asked. No. Just the ones you threaten with guns? His brush paused. Just for a second. Just the ones who don't run when they should. He set down the brush. Turned to face her. You read the contract. What's your answer? Zahara looked at the numbers again. Looked at her phone. Her mama's last text. Feeling stronger today, baby. Whatever you did, thank you. She looked back at Min-jun. At his scars. His burns. His fox eyes that didn't blink enough. If I sign this, she said slowly. What exactly am I agreeing to? Employment. Doing what? I told you. Existing. That's not a job. It is for me. She laughed. Couldn't help it. The sound echoed wrong in the huge space. You're paying me 45 million won to just be here? Clean sometimes. That's it. Yes. Why? He stood. Walked to the windows. Stared at Seoul waking up 70 floors below. When I was 7, he said, voice flat. My father locked me in our family's storage warehouse. Punishment for touching his desk without permission. There was a gas leak. Zahara's stomach tightened. The explosion lasted 4 seconds. The fire lasted 18 minutes. I counted everyone. He turned. The burn scars on his hands suddenly made terrible sense. I've counted every second of my life since then. Every touch. Every sound. Every deviation from pattern. Because if I don't, his jaw clenched. The noise comes back. The fire comes back. Everything comes back. That's OCD, Zahara said quietly. That's survival. It's a disorder. It's what kept me alive when my own father tried to erase me for being imperfect. The words hit like bullets. Zahara opened her mouth. Closed it. For 24 years, Min-jun continued. Nothing has stopped it. Medication dulls it. Therapy teaches me to cope. But it never stops. He looked at her directly. Until you sat in my chair and fell asleep like you belonged there. For 43 minutes, my brain went quiet. No counting. No checking. No fire. That's not. I know it's not logical. I know it doesn't make sense. I know you think I'm insane. I don't. But I'm willing to pay 45 million won a year to test if it happens again. Silence. Zahara stared at the contract. At the man who just admitted he was buying silence from his own mind using her existence. And if it doesn't work? She asked. Then you've made enough money to take care of your mother for years, and I'll find another way to cope. And if it does work? His smile was sharp enough to cut. Then we both get what we need. Zahara pulled out a pen. Minunes ausweitend. Just slightly. She didn't sign. Instead, she wrote in the margin of page 3. Employer will not restrict employees' movement, relationships, or personal autonomy outside of scheduled work hours. She slid it across the table. Add that clause. Legally binding. Then I'll sign. For 5 full seconds he didn't move. Then he pulled out his own pen. Added the clause. Initialed it. Slid it back. Anything else? Yeah. She wrote again. Employee may terminate this agreement at any time without penalty or financial repercussions to previously received compensation. His jaw tightened. That's already implied in. Make it explicit. Another pause. Then he wrote it. Initialed it. Done. Zahara signed her name. Black ink. Permanent. The contract was binding. Min-jun picked it up. Studied her signature. You drive a hard bargain. I protect myself. Smart. He folded the contract. Locked it in a drawer. You start tonight. I just started. Officially, I mean. He checked his watch. It's 5:17 a.m. You're dismissed until tomorrow. She didn't move. What happens tomorrow? Same as today. You arrive. You exist. I pay you. And you paint me without asking? His smile returned. The painting isn't part of the contract. Then stop. No. Her hands curled into fists. You can't just. I can paint whatever I want in my own space. You signed a contract for employment, not control over my artwork. He tilted his head. If you don't like it, add another clause. She wanted to rip the contract back out of the drawer. But he was right. Legally, he was right. You're an asshole, she said. Accurate. I'm leaving. See you at 2:47 a.m. She headed for the elevator. Zahara. She froze. He'd never said her name before. She turned. He was holding something. A keycard. You'll need this. Private elevator access. No security checks. He slid it across the marble. She picked it up. Why are you really doing this? She asked. I told you. The truth. Not the OCD explanation. The real reason. His expression went blank. Then so quiet she almost missed it. Because for 43 minutes, I wasn't afraid of myself. The elevator doors closed. Zahara stared at the keycard in her hand. It was black. Embossed gold lettering. Choi Min-jun private access. Below that in smaller print. Authorized user, Zahara King. Her name was already on it. He'd had it made before she even signed the contract. Before she even came back the second night. He'd known. Somehow he'd known she would say yes. Her phone buzzed. Bank notification. 3,750,000 Korean wons deposited. Her first week's salary. In advance. She looked up at the building. 70 floors above, a single light still burned. And she realized something that made her blood run cold. She hadn't saved herself by adding those clauses. She'd just negotiated the terms of her own cage. And the worst part? She'd done it willingly. Zahara didn't go home. She stood outside a 24-hour cafe 3 blocks from Min-jun's building and stared at her bank account until the numbers stopped feeling real. 3,750,000 Korean wons. 1 week of work she hadn't done yet. Her mama's treatment fully covered. Her rent paid for a year. Her debts erased. She should have felt free. She felt owned. The key card burned in her pocket like a brand. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello. Miss King. A woman's voice. Professional. Cold. This is Dr. Shin from St. Mary's Hospital. I'm calling to confirm your mother's treatment schedule. Zahara's throat tightened. Is something wrong? No. Everything's been approved. I'm just calling to let you know that her next session has been moved to our VIP wing. Private room. Extended care. No additional cost to you. I didn't request. It's already been arranged. I'm simply confirming you're aware. Silence. Who authorized this? Zahara asked. The account holder who's covering her treatment. All I have is a reference number. What's the number? A pause. I'm not authorized to share that information. Is there anything else I can help you with? Zahara hung up. Her hands were shaking again. VIP wing. Private room. Extended care. Things her mama needed but Zahara could never afford even with the contract salary. Things Min-jun had arranged without asking. Without telling her. She looked at the time. 6:42 a.m. 20 hours until she had to go back. She went to see her mama instead. St. Mary's Hospital looked different in daylight. Less desperate. More expensive. The kind of place where people came to live, not just delay dying. Her mama's new room was on the 8th floor. Zahara stopped outside the door. Through the window, she could see her. Sitting up in bed. Reading a book. Color in her cheeks that hadn't been there in months. She looked alive. Zahara pushed open the door. Baby. Her mama's face lit up. They moved me this morning. Can you believe this room? Got my own bathroom. TV that actually works. Nurse said I'm getting some kind of specialized treatment next week. Mama. Zahara's voice cracked. Who paid for this? Her mama's smile faltered. You did, baby. With your new job. My job doesn't cover VIP wings. Then maybe they made a mistake and we should enjoy it while it lasts. Mama. Zahara Lin King. Her mother's voice went hard. I don't know what you did to get me in this room. I don't know who you're working for now. But I know my daughter. And I know that look on your face. Zahara sat on the edge of the bed. What look? The one that says you sold something you can't buy back. The words hit like a slap. I didn't. Don't lie to your mama. Zahara's eyes burned. I took a job. A good one. Legal. That's all. Legal don't mean right. It means you get to live. Her mama's expression softened. Baby, I'm 63 years old. I've had a good life. If my time is coming. It's not. You don't know that. I do now. The silence stretched between them like a wound. What did you promise them? Her mama asked quietly. Nothing I can't take back. Another lie. Her mama knew it too. But she didn't push. She just pulled Zahara into a hug that smelled like hospital soap and lavender lotion and home. You be careful, she whispered. Rich men don't give poor girls nothing without expecting everything. Zahara left the hospital at noon. She had 12 hours to kill. She went to the one place she knew Min-jun wouldn't find her. The subway station where she used to sleep before she got the cleaning job. Back when homeless meant invisible. Back when survival meant taking up the smallest space possible. She sat on a bench and watched people rush past. Businessmen. Students. Mothers with children. All of them going somewhere. All of them belonging to their own lives. She didn't belong anywhere anymore. Not to poverty. The money made sure of that. Not to freedom. The contract made sure of that. Not to herself. Min-jun made sure of that. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. You have 11 hours and 34 minutes until work. Don't be late. Her blood went cold. She typed back. How did you get this number? Response came immediately. I've had it since the first night. Sleep well, Zahara. She stared at the screen. Then at the people around her. Was he watching? Did he have someone following her? She stood. Walked out of the station. Took 3 random buses. Got off. Got on another. 2 hours of paranoia. When she finally stopped, she was in a neighborhood she didn't recognize. Her phone buzzed again. You're at Itaewon Station. 9 hours and 12 minutes left. Relax. She threw her phone across the empty bus shelter. It didn't break. It just kept buzzing. At 2:46 a.m., she was standing outside his penthouse door. She didn't knock. The door opened anyway. Min-jun's tutlea. Different suit. Same burgundy. Same scar. Same fox eyes that saw too much. You're early again, he said. Stop tracking me. I'm not. You texted me. I texted you a reminder. Your phone's location services are off. I checked. Then how did you know where I was? Lucky guess. His smile was knife-sharp. You went to see your mother. Then you tried to disappear for a while. Predictable. I'm not predictable. Everyone is. He stepped aside. Komein. She didn't move. You had my phone number before I gave it to you. Yes. You arranged my mama's VIP treatment without asking. Yes. You had a key card made with my name on it before I signed the contract. Yes. Why? Because I knew you'd say yes eventually. You needed the money. I needed the silence. Simple math. That's not simple. That's manipulation. Semantics. She wanted to hit him. Instead, she walked inside. The penthouse looked different. His chair was gone. In its place, a second chair. Identical. Black leather. Angled the same way. What is that? She asked. Your chair. Her stomach dropped. I don't want a chair. Contract says you're employed to exist here. Existing while standing for 8 hours isn't sustainable. He walked to his chair. Saturday. So I got you one. I didn't ask. You didn't have to. He pulled out his painting supplies. Started painting again. A new canvas. She could see it from where she stood. 2 chairs. Side by side. One empty. One waiting. Sit, he said without looking up. No. It's not a request. I don't care. His brush stopped. He looked at her directly. If you don't sit, I'll assume you're uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable, the contract's purpose fails. If the purpose fails, I terminate your employment and your mother's treatment coverage ends in 72 hours. Her world tilted. You said I could quit anytime. You can. I can't fire you unless you violate the terms. But if you refuse to perform the job you were hired for, existing comfortably in this space, then you're in breach. That's not. Page 9. Subsection 3. Employee agrees to maintain physical presence in employer's designated workspace in a manner conducive to the therapeutic environment. Refusing to sit is refusing to maintain presence conducive to my therapy. He'd trapped her. With her own contract. With her own words. Zahara looked at the chair. Then at him. Then at her phone where her mama's smiling face was the lock screen. She sat down. The leather was cold. Then warm. Then perfect. Just like his. Min-jun smiled. Not cruel. Satisfied. Good, he said softly. And went back to painting. Zahara sat in her chair and realized 3 things. 1. He'd planned this from the beginning. 2. She'd walked into it with her eyes open. 3. She still didn't know what he really wanted. But she was about to find out. Because at exactly 3:33 a.m., he set down his brush, turned to her, and said the 5 words that changed everything. Tell me about your father. No. The word came out harder than Zahara meant it to. Min-jun's brush hovered over the canvas. Didn't move. Didn't drop. No, he repeated. Like he'd never heard the word before. I'm here to exist. That's the contract. You don't get my life story. I'm making conversation. You don't make conversation. You collect information. She crossed her arms. So no. Ask me something else. For 10 full seconds he didn't respond. Just stared at her like she was the equation that suddenly had letters instead of numbers. Then he smiled. Not the knife-sharp one. Something worse. Genuine. You're right, he said. That was invasive. I apologize. She blinked. You're apologizing? I overstep sometimes. Occupational hazard. He went back to painting. Let me try again. What's your favorite color? The whiplash made her head spin. What? Simple question. Favorite color. Why do you care? Because I'm painting you and I want to know if I'm getting it right. She looked at the canvas. He'd painted her chair purple. Deep, royal purple. Her actual favorite color. How did you? Your phone case. Your shoelaces. The hair tie on your wrist. He didn't look up. Purple. Different shades but consistent. So I guessed. He'd been watching her that closely. It's purple, she admitted. I know. Silence. She should have been angry. She was tired instead. My father's dead, she said suddenly. Min-jun's brush stopped. You didn't have to. Died when I was 9. Heart attack. Left mama with nothing but medical debt and a daughter who looked too much like him. The words came out flat. Practiced. She worked 3 jobs to keep us fed. I worked as soon as I was old enough to lie about my age. We survived. That's the story. Happy now. He set down the brush. Turned to face her fully. No, he said quietly. I'm not happy about that at all. Something in his voice made her chest tighten. Why do you ask then? Because you looked at the second chair like it was a trap. And traps come from somewhere. He leaned back. My father's alive. Wishes I wasn't. But he's alive. The one who locked you in the warehouse? Yes. Where is he now? Tokyo. Running the family business I was supposed to inherit before I became. He gestured vaguely at himself. Defective. You're not defective. The words slipped out before she could stop them. His eyes snapped to hers. You don't know me well enough to make that assessment. I know you count seconds like bullets. I know you wear gloves indoors because touch feels like fire. I know you paint to stop your hands from shaking. She met his gaze. That's not defective. That's surviving. The silence that followed felt like falling. Min-jun stood. Walked to the windows. Put his gloved hand against the glass. When I was 12, he said, voice barely above a whisper. I told my father I wanted to be an artist. He broke 4 of my fingers with a hammer. Said pain would teach me discipline. Zahara's stomach turned. He didn't take me to a hospital for 3 days. Wanted to make sure the lesson stuck. Min-jun flexed his hand. The bones healed wrong. I can't hold a brush the way I'm supposed to. Every painting I make hurts. Then why do you still paint? He turned. Looked at her like she'd asked why he still breathed. Because it's the only time the counting stops. Even if it's just for seconds. Even if my hands scream. It's the only time I'm not, he stopped. Not him. Zahara stood. Walked over to him. Stopped exactly 6 feet away. The distance he always kept. Take off your glove, she said. No. I'm not asking. Neither am I. You touched my hand 2 nights ago. You can do it again. That was a mistake. Bullshit. You needed to know if I was real. She held out her hand. So check again. His jaw clenched. Why? Because I need to know something too. What? If you're as broken as you think you are. His eyes widened. Then slowly, so slowly it hurt to watch, he pulled off his right glove. The burn scars looked worse in the city lights. Melted skin. Twisted fingers that didn't quite bend right. He held up his hand. She pressed her palm against his. His breath caught. So did hers. Because she felt it. The tremor running through him. Not fear. Not pain. Relief. His fingers curled slightly. Not gripping. Just holding. It doesn't hurt, he whispered. What doesn't? Touching you doesn't hurt. The words landed between them like a confession. Zahara should have pulled away. She didn't. How long's it been? She asked quietly. Since touch didn't hurt? 24 years. Her throat closed. Since the fire? Since before it. My father didn't believe in affection. Said it made children weak. His voice went hollow. After the fire, doctors had to touch me to treat the burns. Every hand felt like it was still burning. So I stopped letting anyone close enough to try. Until me. Until you. He pulled his hand back. Put the glove on again. Fussed. Mechanical. This can't happen, he said. What can't? This. You. The way you. He turned away. I hired you to exist. Not to fix me. I'm not trying to fix you. Yes, you are. That's what people do when they see broken things. They try to repair them. Maybe you're not broken. I pointed a gun at your head 3 days ago. Yeah, you did. I manipulated you into signing a contract that benefits me more than you. I know. I'm tracking your movements even though I said I wasn't. Her blood went cold. What? He pulled out his phone. Showed her the screen. A map. A blinking dot. Her location. The key card, he said flatly. It has a chip. Standard security protocol for private elevator access. I've known everywhere you've been since I gave it to you. She stared at him. Then at the phone. Then back at him. You lied. Yes. You're still lying about something. Probably. Why are you telling me this? Because, he said, meeting her eyes. I need you to understand what you're dealing with. I'm not a good man, Zahara. I'm not even a safe one. I'm a monster who pays well and hurts quietly. Then why do you look so scared right now? His expression cracked. Just for a second. Because you're the first person in 24 years who's touched me and I didn't want to crawl out of my own skin. His voice dropped. And that's more terrifying than anything I've ever done to anyone else. Zahara walked to the door. Min-jun didn't stop her. She put her hand on the handle. Stopped. The tracking, she said without turning around. Turn it off. No. Then I quit. You won't. She turned. Watch me. He crossed the room in 4 strides. Stopped inches away. Closer than he'd ever been. Close enough that she could see the gold flecks in his fox eyes. Close enough to smell paint and expensive cologne and something underneath that smelled like smoke. If you quit, he said, voice low and dangerous, your mother's treatment ends. Her VIP room disappears. The money stops. And you go back to cleaning blood out of basement grout for minimum wage. You said I could quit anytime. You can. But the contract covers employment duration, not post-employment benefits. He tilted his head. You leave. You leave with nothing but what you've already earned. That's extortion. That's business. She should have been furious. She should have slapped him. Instead she laughed. Sharp. Bitter. Broken. You really are a monster. I warned you. Yeah. You did. She opened the door. Zahara. She stopped. Didn't turn around. The tracking, he said quietly. I'll turn it off. She froze. What? You're right. It's invasive. Unnecessary. I'll disable it. She turned slowly. He was already walking back to his chair, picking up his brush. Why, she asked. Because you asked. He started painting again. And because I'm trying to be less of a monster than my father. The honesty in his voice nearly broke her. I'm still leaving, she said. I know. I'll be back tomorrow. I know that too. She walked to the elevator, pressed the button. The doors opened. Zahara. She looked back. He was staring at his painting, at the 2 chairs side by side. One purple. One black. Thank you, he said. For what? For not running the first night. The elevator doors started to close. She caught them. Min-jun. He looked up. It was the first time she'd used his first name. His eyes widened. I'm not here to fix you, she said. But I'm not here to let you drown either. The doors closed before he could respond. Zahara rode down 70 floors and realized something terrifying. She wasn't afraid of him anymore. She was afraid of what would happen when he stopped being afraid of himself. And she was right to be. Because 3 hours later her phone buzzed. Bank notification. 10 million Korean wons deposited. Message attached. For the tracking. I'm sorry. She stared at the screen. 10 million won. An apology that cost more than most people made in a year. From a monster who was trying not to be. She didn't text back. But she didn't return the money either. Zahara woke up to sirens. Not outside her building. Inside her head. She shot upright in bed, heart slamming, vision swimming. The room spun like she was still falling. Falling where? From what? Her phone screen read 11:47 a.m. She'd slept 4 hours. Dreamed for all of them. Same dream. On loop. Min-jun's penthouse. The chairs. Him reaching for her hand. Except in the dream, when their palms touched, his skin caught fire. Real fire. The kind that had scars underneath. And he just kept holding on, burning, screaming without making sound. And she couldn't let go. She stumbled to the bathroom. Splashed water on her face. Her reflection looked haunted. Her phone buzzed. Text from Mama. Doctor says I can come home next week for a visit. Can you believe it, baby? Another buzz. Unknown number. The tracking is disabled. I keep my promises. She stared at both messages. One was hope. The other was a leash with more slack. Same cage. Bigger radius. Her phone rang. She didn't recognize the number. Hello. Miss King? A man's voice. Accented. Japanese. My name is Choi Takeshi. I believe you work for my son. Her blood turned to ice. She hung up. The phone rang again immediately. She stared at it. Min-jun's follow. Calling her personal number. How did he? The phone kept ringing. She answered. I don't know what you want, she said, voice steadier than she felt. But I'm just an employee. You're in his penthouse every night from 2:47 a.m. until dawn. The voice was cold. Precise. Like Min-jun's but with edges that cut deeper. You sit in a chair he bought specifically for you. You've touched his bare hand twice. Once for 11 seconds. Once for 19. Her stomach dropped. How do you? I have cameras in that building. Not in his penthouse, he'd find those. But in the elevator. The lobby. The parking garage. A pause. I know everything that happens in structures I own. Min-jun owns that building. Min-jun owns Nolhing. He thinks he does. But the deed is still in my name. The penthouse is a leash I let him think is freedom. She sat down hard on her bed. What do you want? I want to know what you're doing to my son. I'm not doing anything. He hasn't had a psychological break in 3 weeks. No hospitalizations. No incidents. His medication dosage has been reduced twice. The voice sharpened. In 24 years, that has never happened. So I'll ask again. What are you doing to him? I'm just, she stopped. Because saying existing sounded insane. I work there. That's all. You're lying. I'm not. I've spent 2 decades trying to fix what the fire broke. Medication. Therapy. Specialists from 4 countries. Nothing worked. Then you show up and suddenly he's functional. A bitter laugh. No. You're either drugging him or fucking him. Which is it? Rage ignited in her chest. Neither, you sick. Careful, Miss King. I can make your mother's hospital care very complicated very quickly. The threat landed like a fist. Silence. That's what I thought, Takeshi continued. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to continue whatever you're doing. You're going to report to me weekly on his condition. And you're going to make sure he stays stable enough to eventually take over the family business. He doesn't want. I don't care what he wants. I care what he's capable of. And right now, because of you, he's capable of being useful again. A pause. Do this, and your mother's care continues. Indefinitely. Refuse, and she's out of that VIP room by tonight. The line went dead. Zahara sat there shaking. Min-jun's father had been watching, tracking, testing, and now she was caught between 2 monsters. One who admitted what he was. One who pretended to be a father. She didn't tell Min-jun. Not that night when she showed up at 2:47 a.m. Not when he looked up from his painting and smiled. Actually smiled, small and real. And said, "You came back." Not when he'd set out tea. Her favorite kind. The expensive jasmine one she'd mentioned once in passing 3 nights ago. Not when he didn't paint for the first hour. Just sat in his chair, and read while she sat in hers and pretended to be calm. "You're quiet tonight," he said around 4 a.m. "Tired." Liar. She looked up. He was watching her with those fox eyes that saw too much. "Something happened," he said. Not a question. Nothing happened. "Your breathing's off. You've checked your phone 6 times in an hour. And you haven't looked at me directly once." He set down his book. What happened? She could lie. Should lie. Instead. Does your father still own this building? Min-jun went very still. Why? Answer the question. Legally, yes. Practically, no. I pay for everything. He just refuses to sign over the deed. His eyes narrowed. Why are you asking? Does he have cameras? In the building, yes. In this penthouse, no. I sweep for them weekly. He stood. Zahara. What happened? She told him. Every word. His expression didn't change until she got to the part about his father tracking his medication dosage. Then something in his face cracked. He called you, Min-jun said slowly. He threatened your mother. And he wants you to spy on me. Yes. And you told me instead of agreeing. Yes. Why? She met his gaze. Because fuck him. Min-jun left. Not a small laugh. A real one. Full and sharp and slightly unhinged. He crossed the room. Stopped in front of her chair. Knelt down so they were eye level. Close enough that she could see the scar on his cheekbone wasn't just from the fire. It was from something else. Something deliberate. You have no idea what you just did, he said. I made an enemy of your father. No. You declared war on the most dangerous man in 3 countries. His smile was all teeth. And you did it to protect me. I did it because he's an asshole. He's worse than that. He's patient. Methodical. He will destroy you slowly and enjoy every second. Then I guess I better be worth it. His eyes widened. Then he did something that stopped her heart. He took off both gloves, set them aside, and held out his scarred, burned, broken hands. If we're going to war, he said quietly, I need to know you're real. She understood immediately. This wasn't about touch. This was about trust. She put her hands in his. Skin to skin. His breath shuddered out. It still doesn't hurt, he whispered. Good. I don't understand how. Maybe you're not supposed to understand. Maybe it just is. They stayed like that for 37 seconds. She counted. So did he. When he pulled back, his hands were shaking. But his eyes were clear. I'm going to tell you something, he said. And you're going to hate me for it. More than I already do? Yes. Try me. He stood, walked to his desk, unlocked a drawer, pulled out a folder, set it in front of her. I knew my father would contact you. I've been waiting for it. Her blood went cold. What? He does this with everyone who gets close to me. Tests them, buys them, breaks them. Min-jun opened the folder. So I prepared. Inside were documents, medical records, financial statements, legal papers, all about his father. What is this? She asked. Proof that Choi Takashi has been embezzling from his own company for 12 years. Proof that the fire that burned me wasn't an accident. He paid someone to stage the gas leak. Proof that he's been having me institutionalized against my will to maintain control of my inheritance. She stared at the papers. Why are you showing me this? Because when he comes for you, and he will, I need you to know I'm not defenseless.
Min-jun의 smile turnte dangerous.
I'm just patient. You're going to destroy him. Eventually. Why not now? Because I needed to know if I could trust anyone enough to help me. He looked at her. And I needed to see if you'd choose me over survival. You used me, Zahara said slowly. Yes. You let your father threaten me to test me. Yes. You're just like him. No. His voice went hard. I'm worse. Because I warned you and you stayed anyway. She stood. Walked to the elevator. Where are you going? He asked. Home. To think. About whether working for one monster to escape another is actually freedom, or just a different cage. The elevator doors opened. She stepped inside. Zahara. She looked back. Min-jun was holding the folder. If you come back tomorrow, he said, I'll give you this. All of it. Every piece of evidence. You can do whatever you want with it. Turn me in. Sell it to my father. Burn it. Why would you do that? Because you chose me over your mother's safety tonight. His expression softened. And I need to prove I can choose you back. The doors started to close. And if I don't come back, she asked, then I'll know I was right to never trust anyone. The doors closed. Zahara rode down 70 floors with her hands still shaking. When she got home, there was an envelope under her door. No return address. Inside, a check for 50 million Korean wons. And a note in elegant handwriting. Leave my son alone and this is yours. Continue, and your mother dies. Choose wisely. Choi Takashi. She stared at the check. 50 million won. More money than she'd see in 10 years. Her mama's life. Or Min-jun's war. She couldn't have both. Her phone buzzed. Text from Min-jun. I know what he sent you. I won't blame you if you take it. Another buzz, but I hope you don't. She looked at the check. At her mama's photo on the wall. At her reflection in the dark window. And she made a choice that would either save her or destroy her. She lit the check on fire. Watched it burn. And texted back. Tomorrow. 2:47 a.m. Bring the folder. His response came instantly. Thank you. Then, you're insane. She smiled. Yeah. I know. The fire alarm in Zahara's building went off at 1:53 a.m. Not a drill. Real smoke. Real flames. Real people screaming in the hallways. She grabbed her phone and ran. Made it to the street with nothing but the clothes on her back and the key card in her pocket. Watched firefighters swarm her building while residents huddled on the sidewalk in pajamas and terror. A woman next to her was crying. Started on the 4th floor. My apartment. I don't know how. I wasn't even home. Zahara's blood turned to ice. Her apartment was on the 4th floor. 2 units down from the crying woman. She checked her phone. 1:57 a.m. 50 minutes until she was supposed to be at Min-jun's. A text came through. Unknown number. Consider this a warning. Next time it's the hospital. Ziti. Choi Takashi. He'd burned her building. Because she burned his check. Her hands started shaking so hard she almost dropped the phone. Another text. Min-jun. Where are you? She typed back with trembling fingers. My building's on fire. Response came in 3 seconds. Address. Now. She sent it. Stay there. I'm coming. Don't. I'll meet you at the penthouse. Zahara. Stay. There. She didn't listen. She ran. She made it to his building at 2:39 a.m., covered in ash, smelling like smoke, shaking so hard her teeth chattered. The elevator opened directly into the penthouse. Min-jun was waiting. He took one look at her and his face went blank. The dangerous kind of blank. Did he do this? His voice was too calm. I don't know. Don't lie to me. She showed him the text. He read it. Then he threw his phone across the room so hard it shattered against the marble. I'm going to kill him. Not I want to. Not I should. I'm going to. Stated like a fact. Min-jun. He burned your home. His hands were shaking. He could have killed you. But he didn't. This time. He spun to face her. Next time it's the hospital. He said it himself. Your mother. Patients. Nurses. He'll burn it all and blame a gas leak just like he did to me. The room tilted. He can't. He can. He will. He's done it before. Min-jun grabbed his suit jacket. Started putting it on. I'm ending this tonight. What are you going to do? Something I should have done 20 years ago. He headed for the elevator. Zahara stepped in front of him. Move, he said. No. Zahara. If you go to him like this, you'll do something you can't take back. Good. You'll become him. That stopped him. His jaw clenched so hard she heard teeth grind. I'm already him, he said quietly. I just hide it better. Bullshit. I manipulated you into this contract. I tracked you without permission. I used you as bait to test my father's response. His eyes were wild. I'm a monster who paints pretty pictures and pretends the art makes me human. You're a survivor who's still fighting not to drown. Same thing. It's not. They stood there breathing hard. Too close. Close enough that she could see his pupils blown wide. Close enough to smell smoke on both of them now. He's going to keep hurting you, Min-jun said. And everyone you love. Until you leave or die. Then give me the folder. What? The evidence. Give it to me. Let me decide what to do with it. No. You said if I came back it was mine. I came back. So give it to me. His hands curled into fists. Then slowly he walked to his desk. Pulled out the folder. Handed it to her. What are you going to do with it? He asked. She opened it. Scanned the documents. Medical records showing Min-jun had been institutionalized 7 times. All involuntary. All signed off by his father claiming he was a danger to himself. Financial statements showing Takeshi had been siphoning money from the company Min-jun was supposed to inherit. And a police report. Filed 3 months after the warehouse fire. An anonymous tip claiming the gas leak had been staged. Investigated for 2 weeks. Then closed. By an inspector who'd received a 100 million Korean wons deposit the same day. Your father tried to kill you, Zahara said slowly. And when that didn't work, he's been trying to erase you ever since. Yes. Why? Because I remind him that his perfect legacy burned up in a warehouse when I was 7. And he can't stand imperfection. She looked up. What was his perfect legacy? Min-jun's smile was broken. A son who didn't scream when he was touched. Who didn't count seconds. Who didn't paint instead of making profit. He gestured to himself. I was supposed to be him. Instead I'm this. Zahara closed the folder. I'm going to see him. Min-jun's eyes went wide. Absolutely not. He wants to meet me. To buy me off or threaten me directly. Fine. I'll meet him. He'll kill you. Not if I'm useful. She held up the folder. And right now, I'm the only person who knows where this is. I know where it is. Not if I hide it first. His jaw worked. This is insane. Yeah. Seems to be my brand lately. She walked to the window. Looked at Seoul waking up 70 floors below. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to meet your father. I'm going to tell him I want to negotiate. He doesn't negotiate. Everyone negotiates when they're scared. She turned. And I'm going to make him very, very scared. How? By telling him the truth.
Min-jun stirrte her.
What truth? That his son isn't broken. That you're not defective. That everything he did to you. The fire, the institutions, the control didn't work. She smiled. That you're stronger than he'll ever be. And I can prove it. Silence. Then, he'll use that against me. Let him try. She walked back to him. Stopped close enough to touch. You spent 20 years surviving him alone. You don't have to anymore. His breathing hitched. Why are you doing this? Because you gave me a choice when no one else did. Even if it was a trap. Even if it came with strings. She met his eyes. And because fuck him for thinking he owns people.
Min-jun grabbte her Hand.
No glaps. Just skin. If you do this, he said, there's no going back. He'll target you forever. Your mother. Your friends. Anyone you've ever cared about. I don't have friends. And my mama's already a target. Zahara. I'm doing this. She squeezed his hand. Unless you're ordering me not to. As my employer. His eyes searched hers. I would never order you to do anything. Then it's my choice. It's suicide. It's war. She smiled. You said it yourself. I declared it. Might as well fight it. He pulled her closer. Not touching anywhere except their hands. But close enough that she felt the heat of him. If he hurts you, Min-jun said, voice dropping to something dangerous, I will burn everything he's ever built to the ground and make him watch. Poetic. I'm serious. I know. They stood there. Hands locked. Two people who'd been alone so long they'd forgotten what it felt like to have someone stand beside them instead of above them. When, he asked. Tomorrow. Daylight. Public place. He won't risk a scene. He'll have security. So will I. You don't have security. I have you. His eyes widened. You want me there? I want you visible. In the background. Close enough that he knows you're watching. She tilted her head. Think you can handle being the intimidating monster for a few hours? His smile was all teeth. I've been practicing for 24 years. She left at dawn. Min-jun didn't sleep. He painted instead. A new canvas. Her. Standing in flames. Not burning. Walking through them. At 9:47 a.m., her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Miss King. Takeshi's voice was ice. I see you received my message. I did. And you're still alive. Disappointing. Yeah, well, I'm hard to kill. She took a breath. I want to meet. Silence. Then why? Because I have something you want. And you have something I need. I have many things. Be specific. Your son's medical records. Financial statements. Police reports. She paused. And proof that you tried to murder him when he was 7. The silence that followed was deafening. Where did you get that? From someone who's been waiting 20 years to use it. Min-jun. Not a question. A realization. He gave you his insurance policy. He gave me a choice. I'm choosing to use it. To do what? To negotiate your surrender. Takeshi laughed. Sharp. Cold. Familiar. He sounded exactly like his son. You think you can blackmail me? I think I can make your life very complicated very publicly. Corporate embezzlement. Attempted murder. Insurance fraud. She smiled even though he couldn't see it. I wonder what the Tokyo Stock Exchange would do if this went public. I'll have you killed before you reach a police station. The evidence is already copied. Multiple locations. If I die, it goes public automatically. A lie. But he didn't know that. You're bluffing. Try me. Another pause. What do you want? A meeting. Today. Noon. Café coin. Public. Neutral. She took a breath. Come alone or the evidence goes public at 12:01. You're insane. Yeah. Your son said the same thing. He's not my son anymore. Good. Then you won't mind losing him forever. She hung up. Her hands were shaking so hard she had to sit down. A text came through. Min-jun. Did you do it? Yes. And. Noon. Café coin. He's coming. I'll be there. I know. Zahara. Yeah. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Finally. Don't die. She smiled. I'll try. At 11:47 a.m., she walked into Cafe Coin wearing clothes Min-jun had bought her. Black dress. Simple. Expensive. The kind that said I belong here. At 11:52 a.m., Choi Takashi walked in. He looked exactly like Min-jun would in 30 years if all the softness got carved out. Same fox eyes. Same sharp features. No escar. No worms. He sat down across from her without asking. You're younger than I expected, he said. You're shorter, she replied. His smile was a knife. I like you. That's unfortunate. Why? Because I'm going to have to kill you anyway. Zahara leaned back. Not today, you're not. Why not? She pulled out her phone. Showed him a photo. The folder. Opened. Documents spread out. Because your son is currently in a lawyer's office having all of this notarized and filed with 3 separate law firms. A lie. But a good one. If I don't text him by 12:30, it goes public. Takashi's jaw clenched. You're making a mistake. Probably. But it's mine to make. He leaned forward. What do you want? Leave us alone. Both of us. My mother. Me. Min-jun completely. And if I do? The evidence stays private. You keep your company, your reputation, your freedom. And if I don't, then everyone finds out what kind of father tries to burn his son alive. His hand shot across the table, grabbed her wrist, tight enough to bruise. You have no idea what you're. A hand landed on Takashi's shoulder. Heavy, deliberate. Let her go. Min-jun's voice. Takashi looked up. His son stood there in a burgundy suit and murder in his eyes. This is a private conversation. Let her go. Father and son stared at each other. 24 years of rage in the silence between them. Takashi released her wrist. Stood. They were the same height. You gave her the evidence, Takashi said. I gave her a choice. You gave her a weapon. Same thing. Takashi's smile was poisonous. You really think you can beat me? I already did. Min-jun gesture zu Zahara. I found someone who chose me over survival. You couldn't do that with all your money and power. So yeah, I beat you. The cafe went silent. Everyone was watching. Takashi noticed. His expression smoothed. Professional. Controlled. This isn't over, he said quietly. Yes, Min-jun replied. It is. Takashi walked out. Min-jun sat down across from Zahara. Took her wrist gently. Examined the bruises already forming. Are you okay? Yeah. You're lying. Yeah. He smiled. And for the first time since she'd met him, it reached his eyes. You're insane, he said. You already told me that. I'm saying it again because it bears repeating. She laughed. Real. Full. Exhausted. Did you actually take the evidence to lawyers? No. I was 3 blocks away waiting for your signal. He paused. Were you bluffing? Completely. And he believed you? Apparently. They sat there. 2 people who'd just declared war on a monster, and somehow survived the first battle. What now? Zahara asked. Min-jun looked at their hands. Still touching. Still not hurting. Now, he said quietly, we see if we can build something that doesn't burn down. Zahara's mother disappeared on the 3rd day. Not died. Disappeared. The hospital called at 6:42 a.m. Miss King? This is St. Mary's Hospital. We're calling about your mother. Zahara's heart stopped. What happened? She's gone. She checked herself out at 4 a.m. Against medical advice. We tried to stop her, but she insisted. Said her daughter was in danger, and she needed to leave. What? No, I didn't. She left this. A pause. A note. It says, Baby, I'm sorry. You found me. I have to go. Don't look for me. I love you. The phone slipped from Zahara's hand. Hit the floor. Didn't break. She wished it had. She didn't call Min-jun. She went straight to his penthouse. Didn't wait for 2:47 a.m. Didn't knock. Used the keycard at 7:13 a.m. and walked in like she owned the place. Min-jun was asleep in his chair, still in yesterday's burgundy suit, paint dried on his hands. Canvas half finished beside him. He looked almost peaceful. She hated waking him. Did it anyway. Min-jun. His eyes snapped open.
Instant alertness.
Nogrokines. He took one look at her face and stood. What happened? Your father took my mother. She watched the color drain from his face. When? 4 a.m. She checked herself out. Left a note saying he found her. That I was in danger. Her voice cracked. She's gone and I don't know where and I can't. He crossed the room. Pulled her into his arms. No hesitation. No glaps. Just held her while she shattered. She didn't cry. Couldn't. The rage was too big. Too sharp. I'm going to find her, Min-jun said into her hair. I promise. How? Because I know how he thinks. And I know where he takes people when he wants them to disappear. She pulled back. Where? His expression went dark. The warehouse. They took his car. Black. Expensive. Fast. Drove to the outskirts of Seoul where industry bled into wasteland. The warehouse looked abandoned. Rusted metal. Broken windows. Graffiti marking territory. But there were fresh tire tracks in the dirt. And a single black sedan parked behind the building. Min-jun killed the engine. Stared at the warehouse like it was a living thing that wanted to eat him. This is where it happened, Zahara said quietly. Yes. The fire. Yes. You haven't been back since. No. She looked at him. His hands were gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles had gone white even through the scars. We don't have to. Yes, we do. He released the wheel. She's in there because of me. So I'm going in. Not alone, you're not. He looked at her. Zahara. We do this together or not at all. For 3 seconds he didn't respond. Then he reached into the glove compartment. Pulled out a gun. Not the one from the first night. Different. Smaller. He handed it to her. Do you know how to use this? No. Safety's here. Point. Squeeze. Don't pull. He grabbed a second gun for himself. Stay behind me. If shooting starts, run. Like hell. If something happens to me, my father wins. If something happens to you, I become him. His eyes were hard. So you run. Understand? She didn't answer. Just took the gun. They got out of the car. The warehouse door was unlocked. Inside smelled like rust and old smoke and fear. The kind of fear that soaked into concrete and never left.
Mignonnes prilling wind shallow.
She touched his arm. He flinched. Then steadied. They moved deeper inside. Past empty pallets. Broken machinery. Shadows that looked like people but weren't. Then they heard voices. Min-jun held up his hand. They stopped. Listened. Don't understand why we're keeping her alive. Boss's orders. Wants the daughter to cooperate first. And if she doesn't, then we make it look like the old woman's heart gave out. Natural causes. Zahara's vision went red. Min-jun grabbed her before she could move. Pulled her back behind a rusted container. How many? He whispered. 2. Maybe 3. Armed. Probably. He checked his gun. Then looked at her. When I move, you go left. Find your mother. Get her out. What are you going to do? His smile was the dangerous one. Something my father taught me. Before she could ask what that meant, he stepped out into the open. Hello, gentlemen. The voices stopped. Zahara peeked around the container. 3 men. Suits. Guns visible. And her mother. Tied to a chair in the center of the space. Alive. Awake. Terrified. Mr. Choi. One of the men stepped forward. Your father said you might show up. I'm sure he did. Min-jun kept his gun lowered. Casual. Where is he? Not here. Said you weren't worth his time.
Mignonnes clinchel.
Of course he did. He tilted his head. So he sent you instead. 3 armed men against his unarmed son. Very efficient. We're just following orders. I know. That's what makes you stupid. The man's expression darkened. Careful. Tell me something. Min-jun took a step forward. Do you know what happened in this warehouse 24 years ago? Silence. A 7-year-old boy was locked inside during a gas leak. The explosion that followed burned 60% of his body. Took him 18 minutes to crawl to a door his father had welded shut from the outside. Another step. Do you know how long 18 minutes is when you're on fire? The men shifted. Uncomfortable. That boy learned something important that day. Min-jun's voice dropped. He learned that fear is just pain that hasn't happened yet. And once you've already burned alive, there's nothing left to be afraid of. He raised his gun. Shot the first man in the leg before anyone could react. The sound was deafening. The man went down screaming. The other two raised their weapons. Min-jun shot the second man's gun out of his hand. Impossible shot. But he made it. Anyone else want to test me? He asked calmly. The third man ran. Min-jun let him. Zahara was already moving. She ran to her mother. Started untying her. Baby, what are you? How did you? Later, Mama. We gotta go. The ropes came loose. Her mother stood. Stumbled. Zahara caught her. Min-jun was standing over the man he'd shot. Gun pointed at his head. Tell my father something for me, he said quietly. The man was crying. Bleeding. Nodding frantically. Tell him I'm done running. Tell him the next time he comes for what's mine, I'll burn everything he built and make him watch from inside it. He pressed the gun against the man's forehead. Tell him his defective son is coming for his empire. And there's nothing he can do to stop it. I'll tell him, please. Min-jun pulled the trigger. The clip was empty. No bullet. The man sobbed in relief. Min-jun smiled. I'm not my father. I don't kill people who are just following orders. He stood. But I'll make an exception if I see you again. He turned. Walked to Zahara and her mother. Can she walk? He asked. I think so. An engine roared outside. Multiple engines. Car doors slamming. Footsteps. Many of them. Min-jun's expression went blank. He's here. Choi Takashi walked into the warehouse flanked by 8 men. All armed. All focused on Min-jun. Father and son stared at each other across the space, where one had tried to kill the other 24 years ago. I told you this wasn't over, Takashi said. And I told you I already won, Min-jun replied. You think kidnapping my men and threatening me makes you strong? I think choosing not to kill them when I could have makes me better than you. Takashi's smile was ice. You're still weak. Still broken. Still the defective child I should have let burn completely. Min-jun's gun hand didn't shake. Maybe. But I'm the defective child who's about to take everything from you. With what? Evidence you can't use without destroying yourself too. No. Min-jun gestured to Zahara. With her. Everyone's attention shifted. Zahara stood there. Gun in one hand. Her mother leaning on her other side. And she realized what Min-jun had done. He'd made her the center. The choice. The person who decided how this ended. Miss King. Takashi said smoothly. You're intelligent. Pragmatic. So let me make you an offer. I'm not interested. 500 million Korean wons. Immediate transfer. Your mother's medical care. Forever. A house. A car. A life. He paused. All you have to do is walk away. Leave my son. Forget this happened. Her mother's hand tightened on her shoulder. Min-jun's expression was carved from stone. Everyone waited. Zahara looked at the money being offered. At her mother who'd sacrificed everything. At Min-jun who'd given her a choice when no one else would. At Takashi who thought people were prices waiting to be paid. She raised the gun. Pointed it at Takashi. Here's my counteroffer, she said. You leave. Now. You drop whatever vendetta you have against your son. You never contact me, my mother, or anyone I've ever known. You disappear from our lives completely. Or what? Or I pull this trigger and we find out if you're as immortal as you think you are. Takashi laughed. You won't shoot me. You're not a killer. You're right. I'm not. She adjusted her aim. But I'm angry enough to become one. And unlike your son, I don't have any mercy left. The warehouse went silent. 8 guns trained on her. 1 gun trained on Takeshi. Min-jun standing perfectly still between them. This is your last chance, Takeshi said. Take the money. Walk away. Live. Zahara's finger moved to the trigger. I'd rather die standing than live on my knees. She started to squeeze. Min-jun's hand covered hers. Gently lowered the gun. Not like this, he said quietly. He stepped forward. Stood between Zahara and his father. You want to end this? Min-jun asked. Fine. Let's end it. He dropped his gun. Held out his hands. Scarred. Burned. Empty. Shoot me, he said. Takeshi blinked. What? You've wanted me dead for 24 years. Here's your chance. No witnesses except people you control. No evidence. No consecuencias. Min-jun smiled. So do it. Finish what you started in this warehouse. Min-jun no. Zahara moved forward. He held up a hand. Stopped her. If you shoot me, Min-jun continued, you get everything. The company. The legacy. The perfect empire with no defective heir to ruin it. His voice hardened. But you also prove that I was right. That you're a monster who values power over family. That you tried to murder your own son twice because he didn't fit your image of perfection. Takeshi's hand moved to his gun. Do it, Min-jun said. But know that when you pull that trigger, you lose the only person who still had hope you could be saved. I don't need saving. Yes, you do. Min-jun's voice cracks. Because I'm the only one who remembers what you were like before mother died. Before the company consumed you. Before you decided control mattered more than love. Takeshi's hand froze on his gun. Don't. I remember you teaching me to paint. To count stars instead of seconds. To find beauty in broken things. Tears ran down Min-jun's scarred face. I remember my father. And I'm giving him one last chance to remember his son. Silence. Complete. Absolute. Takeshi's hand dropped from his gun. Get out, he said hoarsely. What? Get out. All of you. He looked at his men. Now. They hesitated. I said now. They ran. Left father and son alone. Zahara pulled her mother back. Gave them space. Takeshi stared at Min-jun. I can't undo what I did to you, he said finally. I know. I can't give you back what I took. I know that too. I can't love you the way you want me to. Min-jun's smile was broken. I stopped wanting that a long time ago. He picked up his gun. But I'm giving you a choice anyway. Leave us alone. Or I destroy everything you built, and make sure the world knows what kind of man you really are. That's not a choice. It's more than you gave me. Takeshi looked at his son. Really looked. Saw the scars. The pain. The strength that had grown in spite of him. You're nothing like me, he said. Thank God for that, Min-jun replied. Takeshi turned. Walked toward the exit. Stopped at the door. For what it's worth, he said without turning around. I'm glad you survived. Then he was gone. Min-jun stood there shaking. Zahara went to him. Took his hand. Is it over? She asked. I don't know, he admitted. But it's a start. Her mother appeared beside them. Looked at Min-jun. Then at Zahara. Then at their joined hands. So, she said. This is the man you burned 50 million won for? Yeah, Mama. Her mother studied Min-jun for a long moment. Then she smiled. He better be worth it. Min-jun left. Broken. Real. Free. I'm really not, he said. Good, Zahara's mother replied. My daughter doesn't do easy. 3 weeks passed. No fire. No threats. No Takeshi. Just silence. The kind that felt like a held breath before a scream. Zahara didn't trust it. Neither did Min-jun. But her mother was back home. Treatment continuing. Color returning to her cheeks like spring after winter. And every night at 2:47 a.m., Zahara went to the penthouse. Sat in her purple chair. What's it Min-jun paints? Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they didn't. It should have felt normal. It didn't. Because every night, Min-jun painted the same thing. The warehouse burning. Different angles. Different colors. Different interpretations. But always the warehouse. Always fire. Always a small figure trapped inside. On the 21st night, Zahara finally asked, "Why do you keep painting it?" His brush stopped mid-stroke. "Because I'm trying to remember something." "What?" "What my father looked like when he locked the door." Her blood went cold. Min-jun. "I was 7. It should be clear. Trauma makes memories sharp, right?" He set down the brush. "But I can't see his face. Just his back walking away. And I need to remember if he looked back." "Why does that matter?" "Because if he looked back, it means he hesitated. That some part of him regretted it." His voice went hollow. "And if he didn't look back, it means he wanted me to die. He told you he was glad you survived. He told me that to end the confrontation. Not because it was true." Zahara stood. Walked to him. Took the brush from his hand. "Stop. I can't. You're punishing yourself for surviving something that wasn't your fault." "I know it wasn't my fault." "Do you? Really?" She gestured to the canvases. 17 paintings of the same warehouse. "Because this looks like a man trying to find a reason he deserved to burn." His jaw clenched. "You don't understand." "You're right. I don't understand having a father who tried to kill me. But I understand survival guilt. And I understand that painting the same trauma over and over isn't healing. It's self-harm with prettier colors." The words hit him like bullets. He stood. Walked to the window. Put his forehead against the glass. "What if he didn't look back?" he asked quietly. "Then he's a monster and you already knew that. What if I needed him to look back? What if that's why I can't remember? Because my brain is protecting me from knowing my own father watched me burn and didn't care." Zahara crossed to him. Stood beside him at the window. "Or," she said gently, "what if your brain is protecting you from a memory that doesn't matter anymore? What if whether he looked back or not doesn't change who you are now?" He turned to her. Eyes red. Hands shaking. "Who am I now? Someone who chose not to become him. Someone who gave me a choice when he could have just owned me. Someone who's scared and broken and still standing." She touched his face. "You're Min-jun. That's enough." He kissed her. No warning. No hesitation. Just his mouth on hers like he was drowning and she was air. She froze. Then melted. Then grabbed his face and kissed him back. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate. Messy. Two people who'd been alone too long suddenly realizing they didn't have to be. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Min-jun looked terrified. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have." "Shut up." "What?" "You heard me. Shut up." She pulled him back down. "And kiss me again." He did. Slower this time. Deeper. His hands, still gloved, cupped her face like she was something precious that might break. When they finally stopped, he rested his forehead against hers. "This is a terrible idea," he whispered. "Worst one yet," she agreed. "I'm your employer." "I know. This could destroy everything we've built." "Probably. You should leave. Right now. Before this gets more complicated." She smiled against his mouth. "Make me." He kissed her again. And again. And again. Until they ended up on the floor between the two chairs. His burgundy suit jacket discarded. Her shoes somewhere across the room. His gloves still on because some fears don't disappear just because you want them to. But his mouth on her neck. Her hands in his hair. Both of them breathing like they'd just survived something. Maybe they had. At 4:47 a.m. Min-jun's phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again. And again. On the fourth ring, Zahara grabbed it. Unknown number. She answered. "What?" Put Min-jun on the phone. A woman's voice. Young. Scared. "Please. It's urgent." Zahara handed him the phone. He took it warily. "Who is this?" "Hannah. I work at your father's Tokyo office." A shaky breath. Something's wrong. He collapsed during a meeting. They took him to the hospital. They're saying it's a stroke. Min-jun sat up. "When?" 2 hours ago. The doctors, they don't know if he's going to make it." Silence. Zahara watched emotions flicker across his face too fast to name. "Why are you calling me?" Min-jun asked. Because you're his emergency contact. You're his next of kin. A pause. And because before he collapsed, he kept saying your name. The phone slipped from his hand. Zahara caught it. Hello? Are you still there? We'll call you back, Zahara said and hung up. Min-jun was staring at nothing. He's dying, he said flatly. Maybe not. He's dying and he said my name. He looked at her. Why would he say my name? Because you're his son. I'm the son he tried to erase. You're still his son. He stood. Started pacing. I should feel something. Relief. Anger. Satisfaction. His voice rose. He tried to kill me. Multiple times. He's tormented me for 24 years. So why do I feel like I'm the one dying? Zahara stood. Caught his hands. Because you're not him. Because you still have hope buried somewhere that he could have been saved. She squeezed. And now you're losing the chance to find out. I don't want to save him. Don't you? He pulled away. Walked to the warehouse painting. Stared at it. I need to know if he looked back, he said quietly. Then go to Tokyo. Ask him. He might not wake up. Then ask him anyway. Before it's too late. Min-jun booked a flight for 9 a.m. Tokyo. For hours including travel time. At 6:30 a.m. he was dressed. Packed. Ready. Standing at his door. Not leaving. Come with me, he said suddenly. Zahara looked up from the couch where she'd been pretending to scroll through her phone. What? Tokyo. Come with me. He crossed back to her. I can't do this alone. Min-jun. I'll pay for everything. First class. Hotel. Whatever you need. Just, his voice cracked. Please. I can't face him alone. She should have said no. Should have told him this was something he needed to do himself. Instead, she said, I need to check on my mama first. Relief flooded his face. We have time. The flight's not for 2 hours. They went to the hospital together. Her mother was awake. Reading. Looking stronger every day. Baby. She looked between them. Saw something new. What happened? I need to go to Tokyo for a few days, Zahara said. Her mother's eyes sharpened. This about his father? Min-jun nodded. He's in the hospital. Critical condition. And you're going to see him? After everything. I have to. Why? Min-jun was silent for a long moment. Then. Because I need to know if he's still my father, or just the monster I remember. Zahara's mother studied him. Then she looked at her daughter. You're going with him. Not a question. A statement. Yes, Mama. Because you love him. The words hung in the air like smoke. Zahara opened her mouth. Closed it. Don't lie to your mama, baby. I can see it on your face. She smiled sadly. You love a man who's still fighting his demons. That's a hard road. I know. And you're walking it anyway. Yeah. Her mother reached out. Took both their hands. Placed them together. Then you walk it together. You hear me? Both of you. Together. She looked at Min-jun. You take care of my daughter. With my life, he said. Good. Because if you don't, I'll haunt you from this hospital bed. Min-jun smiled. Real. Genuine. Yes, ma'am. The flight was quiet. First class. Private pods. The kind of luxury Zahara had only seen in movies. Min-jun didn't paint. Didn't read. Just stared out the window at clouds that looked like the smoke from his nightmares. 2 hours into the flight he spoke. I lied to you. Zahara looked up from her book. About what? The tracking. In the keycard. He pulled it from his pocket. I said I disabled it. Her stomach dropped. Min-jun. I didn't. I couldn't. He turned to her. Because the only thing scarier than controlling where you are is not knowing if you're safe. She should have been furious. Should have thrown the keycard at him. Instead, she took it. Snapped it in half. Handed the pieces back. Then let me go. His eyes widened. What? If you can't trust me to be safe without tracking me, then you don't trust me at all. And if you don't trust me, this, she gestured between them, doesn't work. Zahara. I'm not your prisoner, Min-jun. I'm not your employee anymore either. She met his eyes. I'm either your partner or I'm nothing. Choose. The silence stretched. Passengers slept around them. The plane hummed forward through clouds and time. Finally, Min-jun took the broken keycard. Dropped it in the trash. Partner, he said quietly. Yeah. I choose partner. She took his hand. Good. Because I already chose you. They landed in Tokyo at 2:47 p.m. Local time. The hospital was 20 minutes away. Min-jun's phone rang as they got in the car. Same woman. Hannah. He's awake, she said. Barely. The doctors say he has maybe hours. A day at most. We're on our way. They hung up. Min-jun stared at his hands. I don't know what to say to him. Then don't say anything. Just be there. What if he dies while I'm standing there? Then he dies knowing his son came back. What if that's not enough? Zahara squeezed his hand. It has to be. Because it's all you have. The hospital was white. Sterile. Too bright. Room 407. I see. Family only. Min-jun walked in first. Zahara stayed at the door. Choi Takeshi looked small. That was the first shock. The monster who'd haunted Min-jun's life for 24 years looked small and pale and human in a hospital bed hooked to machines. His eyes opened when Min-jun approached. Recognition flickered. You came, he rasped. Yeah. Why? I don't know. Takeshi smiled weakly. Honest. Good. He coughed. I'm dying. I know. You should be happy. I'm not. Why not? Min-jun pulled up a chair. Saturday. Because I need to ask you something. And if you die before I do, I'll never know. Ask. Min-jun took a breath. When you locked me in the warehouse. When you walked away. His voice shook. Did you look back? Takeshi's eyes filled with tears. Real ones. Yes, he whispered. And I saw you banging on the door. Screaming. Begging me to let you out. The tears fell. And I kept walking. The truth landed like a bomb. Min-jun's hands curled into fists. Why? Because I was a coward who thought breaking you would fix what your mother's death broke in me. Takeshi reached out. I was wrong. And I'm sorry. Min-jun stared at the hand. Scarred like his own. Different scars. Same fire. He didn't take it. Sorry doesn't fix what you did. I know. Sorry doesn't give me back the 24 years I spent terrified of my own mind. I know. Sorry doesn't. I know. Takeshi's hand dropped. But it's all I have left to give you. Min-jun stood. Walked to the window. Looked at Tokyo burning gold in the sunset. I spent my whole life trying to remember if you looked back, he said. Trying to find a reason to forgive you. A sign you were human underneath the monster. And now you know. Yeah. Now I know. He turned. You looked back. You saw me suffering. And you walked away anyway. Yes. That's worse than not looking back at all. I know. Min-jun walked to the door. Stopped. I'm glad you survived the warehouse, Takeshi said behind him. And I'm glad you survived me. Min-jun looked back. One last time. I didn't survive you, he said quietly. I survived despite you. There's a difference. He walked out. Zahara caught him in the hallway. He collapsed into her arms. Didn't cry. Just held on like she was the only thing keeping him from falling apart. Is it over? She asked. Yeah, he whispered. It's over. Behind them, machines started beeping. Nurses rushed past. Doctors shouting. Choi Takeshi died at 4:47 p.m. Tokyo time. Min-jun didn't go back in. He just stood there in the hallway, holding Zahara. Finally free. Finally broken. Finally both. Min-jun didn't attend the funeral. Stayed in Tokyo for 3 days handling legal matters. Inheritance, company shares, estate transfers. With lawyers who spoke in numbers that didn't matter and condolences that rang hollow. He signed documents with his father's name next to his. One last time. Then never again. On the 4th day, they flew back to Seoul. The penthouse felt different when they walked in. Empty. Not physically. Nothing had changed. But the weight was gone. The invisible presence that had haunted every corner. The father who'd owned the building, who'd installed cameras, who'd controlled through fear and money and silence. Min-jun stood in the center of the room and just breathed. In, out, in, out. How does it feel? Zahara asked. He looked at her. I don't know yet. That night he didn't paint. For the first time in years. Just sat in his chair. His actual chair. The one that had started everything. Zahara sat in hers. Purple leather. Angled the same way. 2 chairs. Side by side. My mother's coming home tomorrow, she said. Fully discharged. Clean bill of health. That's good. Yeah. Silence. The contract, Min-jun said suddenly. We should dissolve it. Her heart stopped. What? You don't work for me anymore. Haven't for weeks. Not really. He turned to face her. So we should make it official. End the contract. You keep everything. The money, the benefits, your mother's coverage. All of it. But you're free. I don't want to be free of you. The words came out before she could stop them. His eyes widened. Zahara. I don't want to end the contract because then I have to figure out what we are without it. And that's terrifying. She stood. Crossed to him. Because what if we're nothing? What if this only worked because there were rules and power dynamics and reasons it shouldn't? He stood too. Faced her. Or, he said quietly, what if it works better without all that? You don't know that. Neither do you. They stood there. Close enough to touch. Not touching. I'm scared, she admitted. Of what? That you'll realize you don't need me anymore. That the silence you needed was never about me. It was about standing up to your father. And now that he's gone, I'm just, her voice cracked. Just someone you hired who stayed too long. Min-jun's hands came up. Cupped her face. Still gloved. Still careful. You want to know what I realized in Tokyo? He asked. She nodded. When my father was dying, when I was standing in that hospital hallway, the only thing I could think about was getting back to you. His thumbs traced her cheekbones. Not the penthouse. Not the company. Not my freedom. You, Min-jun. I don't need you to make my disorder quiet, Zahara. I need you because you make everything else loud enough to matter. He leaned his forehead against hers. The silence was never the point. You were. She kissed him. Hard. Desperate. Poured everything she couldn't say into it. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she whispered, so what now? Now, he said, we figure out who we are without the contract. Without my father. Without any reason to be together except that we choose to be. That simple. That complicated. She laughed. He smiled. And for the first time since they'd met, it felt easy. At 2:47 a.m. Min-jun's phone rang. They were still on the floor between the chairs. His shirt unbuttoned. Her hair loose. Both of them tangled together in a way that felt like home. He ignored the phone. It rang again. Zahara grabbed it. If this is another lawyer. Miss King. A woman's voice. Not Hannah. Someone new. This is Kim Soo-jin. I'm the executor of Choi Takeshi's estate. Zahara sat up. Min-jun did too. What do you need? She asked. I'm calling because there's been a development. Regarding the will. We already handled the will. Not this part. This was sealed. To be opened only after Mr. Choi's death. And only in the presence of both Min-jun and yourself. Zahara looked at Min-jun. He took the phone. What kind of development? I can't discuss it over the phone. You need to come to the office. Both of you. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. Can't this wait? Mr. Choi was very specific. You have 24 hours to claim what he left you or it goes to the Japanese government. A pause. I suggest you come. The line went dead. Min-jun stared at the phone. What could he have left that he didn't put in the will? Zahara asked. I don't know. And I don't want to know. We have to go. No, we don't. Whatever it is, I don't want it. Min-jun. He spent 24 years trying to control me. I'm not letting him do it from the grave. She took his hand. What if it's not control? What if it's closure? There's no closure with him. Just more manipulation. Then we go. We see what it is. And we walk away. She squeezed. Together. He looked at their hands. Hers dark. His scarred. Both holding on. Together, he agreed. The lawyer's office was glass and steel and too much light. Kim Soo-jin was 50s. Professional. No nonsense. She didn't offer condolences. Just gestured to chairs and pulled out a folder. Before we begin, I need to clarify something. What I'm about to show you was hidden from everyone. Including me. Until Mr. Choi's death triggered an automated system. She slid the folder across. I've read it. You won't like it. Min-jun opened the folder. Inside was a letter. Handwritten. His father's writing. Min-jun. If you're reading this, I'm dead. And you came anyway. That means something. Maybe not forgiveness. But something. I'm not going to apologize again. You don't want to hear it, and I don't deserve to give it. Instead, I'm going to tell you the truth I should have told you 24 years ago. The warehouse fire wasn't punishment. It was a test. Min-jun's hands started shaking. Zahara read over his shoulder. My father, your grandfather, believed that leaders were forged in fire. Literally. He locked me in a burning building when I was 7 to burn away weakness. I survived. Barely. And I became what he wanted. When you were 7, I saw the same weakness in you. The counting. The fear of touch. The painting instead of profit. I thought if I put you through the same test, you'd become strong like me. I was wrong. You survived. But you didn't become me. You became something I didn't understand. Something softer. Kinda. Broken in ways that made you more human, not less. And I hated you for it. Because if you could survive fire and still be kind, it meant I didn't have to become a monster. It meant I chose this. And I couldn't live with that. So I tried to erase you. Break you. Remake you into something I could understand. I failed. You kept being kind. Kept painting. Kept counting seconds like they mattered. Kept being my son. Even when I stopped being your father. And then you found her. The letter shifted to Zahara. Miss King. You don't know me. But I've been watching you since the first night you sat in my son's chair. I called you because I needed to know if you were real, or if you were another person trying to use him. You're real. And you chose him over 50 million won. Over safety. Over logic. That's when I knew I'd lost. Not because you took him from me. But because you gave him something I never could. A choice. The letter continued. Min-jun. I'm leaving you everything. The company. The properties. The accounts. All of it. But there's a condition. Not from me. From your mother. Min-jun quotes. Before she died, she made me promise something. She said, if anything happens to me, don't let our son become like your father. Let him be an artist. Let him count stars. Let him be soft. I broke that promise. So I'm fixing it the only way I know how. The inheritance is yours. 400 billion Korean wons. But you can only access it if you agree to one thing. Stop trying to run the company I built. Stop trying to be me. Stop trying to prove you're strong enough to survive my legacy. Instead, use the money to do what your mother wanted. Paint. Create. Build something beautiful instead of profitable. Be the man she knew you could be. If you refuse, the money goes to charity. The company dissolves. Everything I built disappears. The choice is yours. I won't be around to see it. But I hope, I really hope, you choose to be yourself instead of what I tried to make you. Your father. Choi Takeshi. P.S. Miss King. There's something for you too. Another paper slipped out. A deed. To the penthouse. In Zahara's name. The building is Min-jun's. But the penthouse, the place where you chose him, is yours. Do with it what you want. I won't be watching anymore. Silence filled the office. Kim Soo-jin watched them both. The terms are ironclad, she said. If Min-jun takes the inheritance, he has to resign from all business operations within 30 days. If he doesn't, everything liquidates. That's insane, Zahara started. That's Takeshi, Min-jun said quietly. He set down the letter. Stood. Walked to the window. Looked at Seoul stretching below. 400 billion won, he said. To stop being him. It's a trap, Zahara said. Another way to control you. No. He turned. It's him trying to give me what he couldn't give himself. You don't have to take it. Don't I? He smiled. Sut. Real. If I keep running the company, I become him. If I take the money and walk away, I become what my mother wanted. Either way he wins. Then make a third choice. What third choice? Zahara stood. Crossed to him. Take the money. Take the freedom. But don't do it because he told you to. She took his hands. Do it because it's what you want. I don't know what I want. Yes, you do. You've been painting it for years. You want to create. You want to count stars instead of seconds. You want to be soft. She smiled. You want to be the man your mother saw, not the one your father tried to build. Tears ran down his face. What if I fail? Then you fail being yourself instead of succeeding at being him. I'll take those odds. He looked at Kim Soo-jin. If I sign, how long do I have? 30 days to resign. The money transfers immediately. And the company? Board of directors takes over. They'll probably sell it within a year. Good. He turned to Zahara. And the penthouse? It's mine, she said. Apparently. What are you going to do with it? She looked at the 2 chairs they'd left behind. At the paintings stacked in corners. At the place where they'd found each other in the broken parts. I'm going to keep it exactly how it is. 2 chairs. One for me. One for you. She met his eyes. If you want it. Are you asking me to move in? I'm asking you to stay. Min-jun signed the papers at 11:47 a.m. 400 billion Korean wons transferred to his account. He resigned from 17 board positions before lunch. By dinner, the business world was on fire with speculation. Choi Min-jun walks away from empire. Billion won inheritance buys freedom. Son chooses art over father's legacy. They didn't read the articles. They went back to the penthouse instead. Their penthouse now. Min-jun stood in front of the warehouse paintings. All 17 of them. I need to burn these, he said. Why? Because I'm done trying to remember if he looked back. I know now. And it doesn't change anything. Then burn them. They carried all 17 canvases to the roof. Seoul spread out below them like a galaxy made of light. Min-jun struck a match. Hesitated. You sure? Zahara asked. No. But I'm doing it anyway. He lit the first painting. Watched it burn. Then the second. Then the third. 17 paintings of the worst day of his life. Turned to ash and smoke and finally gone. When the last one burned out, he turned to her. I don't know who I am without him, he admitted. Neither do I without my mother's illness. Without poverty. Without fear. She took his hand. But we get to figure it out together. What if we fail? Then we fail together. What if I'm still broken? Then you're broken together with someone who's broken too. He pulled her close. Kissed her. Soft. Gentle. Certain. When they pulled apart, he was smiling. Real. Unguarded. Free. So what now? He asked. Now. She looked at the sunrise breaking over Seoul. Now you paint what you want. I figure out what to do with a penthouse I never asked for. We visit my mama. We eat breakfast. We exist. Just exist. Just exist. Together? Together. He kissed her again. And for the first time in 24 years, Min-jun's mind went quiet. Not because he was counting. Not because he was controlling. Not because he was surviving. But because he was choosing. Choosing her. Choosing softness. Choosing to be the man his mother knew he could be instead of the monster his father tried to create. Choosing to paint stars instead of fire. Choosing to hold hands without gloves. Choosing to let someone in. Choosing to stay. 6 months later. The gallery opening was small. Intimate. 20 paintings. None of warehouses. None of fire. Just portraits. A woman in a purple chair. Sleeping. Peaceful. Real. The same woman laughing. Crying. Existing. A mother in a hospital bed. Strong. Surviving. Hopeful. 2 hands. Scarred and smooth. Intertwined. A penthouse with 2 chairs facing windows. Empty. Waiting. Home. The gallery was in Itaewon. The name. What Remains After Fire. The artist Choi Min-jun. The first painting sold in 7 minutes. The rest sold within an hour. Critics called it raw and vulnerable, and the work of someone who's learned to be human again. Min-jun didn't read the reviews. He stood in the corner with Zahara, watching people see his work. See him. How does it feel? She asked. Terrifying. Good terrifying or bad terrifying? I don't know yet. She squeezed his hand. You'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, he corrected. Yeah, we will. Across the gallery, Zahara's mother was talking to a reporter. Loudly. That's my daughter. She's the one in all the paintings. Beautiful, isn't she? And smart. And brave. Saved this boy's life, really. Well, he saved hers too. It's complicated. But they're happy. That's what matters. Zahara groaned. Min-jun left. Real. Full. Free. Your mother is telling everyone our story, he said. I know. I'm mortified. I love her. I know that too. He turned to face her. I love you. The words hung in the air. First time he'd said them. Out loud. Where they mattered. Zahara's eyes filled with tears. I love you too. You beautiful, broken, impossible man. Impossible. You made me burn 50 million won and didn't even apologize. You sat in my chair and changed my entire life. Fair point. They stood there. In a gallery full of their story. Surrounded by people who didn't know them but could see them anyway. What now? Min-jun asked. Now. We go home. We sit in our chairs. We exist. She smiled. Together. Just exist. Just exist. Forever. Let's start with today and see how it goes. He kissed her. Soft. Sure. Certain. And somewhere in the space between broken and whole, between monster and man, between alone and together, they chose each other. Again. And again. And again.